Hey Martin,
Yeah, I don't know
you're
if
not.
we're in the room or not, but yeah, I can't type that to you, but I heard you had some travel problems. Yeah,
Yeah, absolute problem, unforeseen. So I thought you were going to be there.
I was meant to be at Jan.
Oh, this music's killing me. Yeah, I was meant to be there, but we never made it. So I was just saying to someone, we've tried to meet each other so many times, and all we've had is 5 minutes in Barcelona.
I know, but yeah.
Crazy.
Yeah, my care assistant went down with a really bad virus Friday night, so we couldn't
Oh
fly.
no, no. Well,
Yeah,
my care assistant didn't have a visa for Italy. That was
I heard.
killer.
So you in Dubai?
Yeah, I'm in Dubai, and the ATIC conference in Dubai. So I'm speaking here tomorrow, day after tomorrow.
Okay, wow, busy.
So I don't know if Neha is I don't know what we were supposed to do a fireside chat, but then Ivor mailed me and said, "Oh, look, fireside chat probably won't work, so go ahead and make a presentation." So I made a
Okay,
presentation. So
okay, fair
I've
enough.
got a presentation. Sorry.
Okay.
How are you doing?
Yeah, all good, all good. Yeah, I mean, there's loads to catch up on, I'm sure, but
Oh,
generally speaking, all good.
good, good.
And interestingly, I've been told I am doing a fireside chat and I haven't done a presentation, so I hope it is
Okay.
possible.
Oh, good. Well, Ivor just said, "Oh, look, a fireside chat probably won't work so well if you're remote. Do your
Mhm.
presentation." So I said, "Yeah, sure." So I spent all day yesterday. I got really sick on the plane. You can probably
Oh
hear it.
no.
And I thought, "Oh my God, I've caught COVID on a plane twice now already. Now this is the
Oh
third
God.
time. So I've either got COVID or I've got flu." And then yesterday, I was like, okay, I have to make a presentation. So I spent 6 hours yesterday making a presentation when I was really sick. I was like, oh
Oh
no.
no. Yeah,
And then,
I was meant to go on a cruise with limitless travel, sort of like all expenses paid, and then I do content, and that would have been my first. Oh, they're right into us.
la Londra.
Yeah.
You can't type. I can type just about, but not very well.
Neha here.
Like one finger. You're going on a cruise, did you say?
So I was meant to 2 weeks ago, and I caught some sort of flu-y COVID type virus. So
Yeah.
I'm better than last week, but yeah, I had something similar to what you've got.
Oh yeah, I've got a cough, a throat, a headache, and like yesterday or last night, I was like really bit high fever as well.
Yeah, not good. No.
No, it's just getting on a plane. It's always the same, You're
Yeah.
breathing the same air as like 300 other people.
Yeah, so true. Yeah.
Yeah. As I say, I've caught COVID twice on a plane. And I think either this is COVID or it's flu. It's one of the two.
Hmm.
Definitely a virus because I was a big temperature last night.
Yeah, yeah. Oh man.
That's all right. It's all right.
So when are you back to Australia?
Next Friday.
Okay.
Yeah.
And had you started from Australia to come to Italy?
Yeah. We were meant I bought the ticket and everything. We were meant to fly to Dubai, stay a night in Dubai, and then fly out to Italy, then fly, do my presentation, do this fireside chat, and then
Yeah,
fly back to Dubai, do my presentation here, and then fly home. So it was going to be pretty hectic.
yeah,
Um, but I was up for it. Um, and then this happened. So
yeah.
I'm really, it's a real shame because there's so many people to
I
to
know,
meet.
right? Yeah. It's been a while. Well, I was in San Marino 2 years ago, which was not from the same organizers, but it was accessible tourism. So there's a few familiar faces there 2 years ago. But this particular Congress, I think the last one was before the pandemic, wasn't it?
Yeah, I was there in Brussels,
Yeah,
2019, I think. Yeah.
yeah. I wasn't there, but I know Ross from Visit England had mentioned he was there.
Yeah, Ross was there.
Yeah, yeah.
So I've been, I was really, I was in the one in 2014 in Montreal and then the one in Brussels in 2019. And so, I mean, the few are far between, actually. That's like,
Yeah.
5 years
Yeah.
between each one.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah. So I picked up a while ago, you're not a Lonely Planet for a while.
No, not for a long time, not since the
Yeah.
beginning of the pandemic. As soon
Yeah.
as the pandemic hit, Lonely Planet closed all its offices
Uh,
and became a virtual company.
so are you sort of more kind of doing your own thing, like kind of freelance
Yeah, I'm
consultancy?
doing my own thing. So I've been doing consulting, and doing training, with the Global Sustainable Tourism Council. I've done a lot of work with them. I've been doing work with Tourism Australia as well. And then last year, about a year ago, I thought I've got to get some regular income rather than this kind of project work. So I started working for a company called Vacate,
Okay.
which is Australia's leading audio guide producer for the blind and low vision communities. And
Okay.
basically, it's a copywriting job.
Yeah.
So we produce audio guides. So I basically
Yeah.
write audio guides, and that's like a permanent part-time kind of job.
Yeah.
So kind of, it's supposed to be 20 hours a week. So that leaves me plenty of time to do my other stuff. But
Yeah,
it
it's good to
does
have
hope,
that mixture, isn't it? Like the definitely regular income bit, but then the
yeah,
chance to do the project stuff as well. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, it's perfect actually.
Yeah.
But I mean, the regular work hasn't been quite as regular as I would want it to be. It began where it was like, oh, it was supposed to be 20 hours a week, and it was more like 45 for the first 3 or 4 months, and then it's dropped off to about 20,
Okay.
and now it's kind of dropped off to like 10. So
Okay. Yeah.
it's sort of not quite as, but it's fine. They're really good. It's a little startup company. There's just 3 employees.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
and the woman who's running it is a real kind of go-getting entrepreneur, young 26-year-old, and she's also dual nationality US Australian. So she's established in the Australia, and she's just moved to the US to kind of start the business up over there.
Okay. Wow.
So hopefully it'll be big, and my job as head of content will be, I'll probably be, what I'm hoping is I'll be supervising other people to write, and I'll just be overseeing the whole thing.
Yeah. 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 How do you see the whole AI advent of AI kind of impacting that?
Well, we're using AI. So basically, this company, they have a series of questionnaires that we send out to clients. The clients fill in the questionnaires, and then we have a dedicated AI portal that we've taught that basically reads the questionnaires, and also we give it not the whole internet, but just trusted web pages. So basically, the client's web pages, and then it produces a draft, and then I have to rewrite it because nobody in the history of mankind has ever spoken like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Interesting.
So it basically it has to be rewritten into kind of normal speak English.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, good.
There's only so much kind of nestled in the heart of a lush and verdant. It's like, no, please.
Who talks like that?
It does. It's terrible. It's so florid and overblown. Oh, sorry. Dee, could I get a tissue, please? I'm in a hotel room in Dubai, and it's supposed to be accessible, but of course, there's no circulation space at all. I can just about get my chair in front of the desk. If I put the arm of my chair up, I can get into the desk.
Yeah.
It's class. Thanks, dude. And it's hot. Jesus Christ, it's 35 degrees.
Is it? Wow.
Yeah. And that's winter.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming here in the morning and patiently waiting for this session to happen. I'm Neha Arora. and I'm the founder of Planetabled, that makes tourism accessible for people with all types of disabilities. With office in India and Austria, we design holidays and we do consulting and training for tourism stakeholders all over the world. I'm the moderator for this session for business development and marketing in destinations in accessible tourism. And I have with me some of the amazing speakers today, two of them would be joining remotely, unfortunately. So we are at the Destinations for All conference, and when we talk about destination development and making them accessible and inclusive, we usually talk about the destination as how accessible it is from a physical infrastructure point of view. But we sometimes miss out on the digital communication or information accessibility aspect. And developing destinations also is just, say, half of the job done, because until and unless you do business development properly and market it properly to reach out to the appropriate audience, destination development would lose its value because no one knows that you have made the destination accessible. And we see this with a lot of destinations all over the world who have done good job, but have struggled to have visitors visit those destinations because no one knew about them, because they were not marketed properly. So we'll have a diverse panel in which we will have Martyn Sibley, who is the OG of inclusive marketing. A lot of you might know he represents Purple Goat Agency. He's an author of Everything Possible and accessible travel memoir that has spent his career driving inclusion through media, business, and community. He co-founded Accomable, which was acquired by Airbnb, leads Purple Goat, the world's only disability-first marketing agency, and founded Purple Changemakers, a platform for social entrepreneurs and activists. His newest initiative, Purple Collective, drives cross-sector collaboration to disrupt market failures affecting disabled people. A seasoned traveler and former editor at Disability Horizons, Martyn has published widely on accessible tourism and visited all 5 main continents. So we'll start with him, and I'll later institute as we go along. We'll introduce our amazing speakers one by one before their sessions. And with Martyn, we are having a fireside chat, and you will see him on the screen at the top. And yes, hi Martyn, how are you doing?
Hey Neha, I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. We are missing you in person here.
Oh, I'm so sad I can't be there with you in person. But I'm glad that technology enables us to have this conversation.
That's true. That's very true. And I'm so glad that you could join us today. Okay, so let's talk about the Fireside that we discussed. So you have been an avid traveler, right? All over the world. But still, tell me through your own experience, like what do you look for when you think of traveling, and what are some of the factors that kind of stop you from taking that big leap, especially when you have to, cross continents or take very long flights?
Yeah, sure. So on a personal, experiential level of disability, I have spinal muscular atrophy. So I'm in my power wheelchair, which I'll give a little twirl here to show them on the audience. And basically, I've been in a wheelchair since I was 3 years old, and all of my waking hours I need to use the wheelchair to move around. And I also have a care team who support me with a lot of the physical tasks that I can't do around preparing food and bathing and hoisting to bed. And so there's a lot of physical support that I need. But in terms of, obviously I can chat away. I'm a big talker, and I'm very kind of know what my goals are in life, whether they be travel or, work, etc. So I think that's my direct experience, is then navigating the world from that perspective. If I'm traveling abroad, often that means an aeroplane. And I think a lot of us know, you know, I've been flying for, I'm 42 years old. So say, 39, 40 years I've been flying. And there are aspects of the flying customer journey that are still not better than decades ago, and sometimes are a bit worse. There's a lot of noise and publicity about the challenges of traveling with a disability, particularly when flying with the wheelchair. I have to put the wheelchair in underneath the aeroplane, I have to transfer into a normal plane seat, and all of that is quite challenging. It's quite anxiety provoking. So I would say, to kind of your point about consideration, the flying part of accessible tourism, I believe there's still a bit further to go, as an understatement, to address that. But apart from the flying, I think so much of accessible tourism has improved over my lifetime. There's a lot more countries that have a lot more awareness of disability and better infrastructure. But overall, the things I need to consider would be, for example, when I land, how do I get from the airport to the hotel? So the transport in the wheelchair is a factor. Is the hotel room accessible in terms of space for the wheelchair, but I need a wet room shower? That's my specific access requirement. And obviously, if my care assistant can accompany me and help me by staying nearby in the hotel to come at night time and help me get comfortable. So you can kind of see it's a very logistical consideration with my personal disability. And I think, therefore, the infrastructure and things like hiring a hoist and equipment, those are the main considerations that I have. But I think from that broader career perspective, and we'll move on to that, I'm sure, soon, you know, it's a good layer is just having that empathy of someone's disability, but asking them what their adjustments and access requirements are, and being able to kind of co-create and solve that together. And I think that has become quite a big value for me more recently, is that instead of having industry and then disabled people, and it's like silos, it's about everyone coming together to find the answers around education, information, marketing, and obviously the product or the service being as accessible as possible for as many people in the world as possible.
Got it. Thank you so much for sharing your experience. So tell me, you are the OG marketer, so I would put that on you. How can we build communities between travelers and the tourism industry so that they can together build an inclusive industry based on what experiences that you shared right now? And what role do you think non-disabled travelers play?
Yeah, so I think that there's two strands. I think that there's almost a philosophical side of everyone having that awareness and that intention, like I said before, to have community and co-create solutions. But I think then there is a more technical and technological side. So I mean, you call me very kindly an OG marketer. I mean, really, my personal journey that brings together disability inclusion, traveling the world, and eventually entrepreneurship and business has all been really through social media. So in 2009, I had sort of come across the notion of having a blog and making videos on YouTube, and then using social media to find like-minded people. And it was very raw. If I look back at those articles and videos, that's a bit cringy. As a very younger version of me, as a very sometimes naive, sort of thinking I was going to go out and solve everything in the world as a guy in his 20s, and it would all be quick and simple. There was definitely a naivety there. But overall, that content I created and the social media interactions I had with people like yourself, Neha, and many other people on the panel and in the room and at the conference, that's community. We've all both online and then where possible, for example, with Karin, everyone that's there together offline and in person is still very, very valuable. But it's these kind of strategies and tools around sharing your message with content, finding like-minded people with social media, and then having events and conferences when possible. I think that's the answer. And I think your point about non-disabled travelers, I think it's just, again, it's that awareness and that education that, we would want everyone in the world to have opportunities that are, our own personal goals can be achieved. So I think most people do care about inclusion. And I think where it struggled is there maybe wasn't enough awareness of the business case. So it was easy to say, oh yeah, but making a room accessible, or even the stuff about flying, there's just a baseline assumption, oh, that's difficult, that's going to cost money. But we know in reality, when I keep talking about co-creating solutions, universal design, it doesn't actually cost as much as people make a presumption. And in the long run, any cost, inverted commas, there is to be inclusive and accessible, there's a return. So it's not a cost, it's an investment. And that's why when we look at it through entrepreneurship and business, we can make these adaptations and accessible changes that benefit everyone, because it really does benefit everyone. It benefits industry, and we live in a world where no one is left out or excluded. So it pulls on a lot of different disciplines and philosophies and technologies. But when you put those ingredients together, to make a slightly cheesy metaphor, the cake can be delicious for everybody.
Awesome. When we design for accessibility, we design for everyone. So we all know that, we talked about that when we make a destination accessible, it's half the work done, and the rest half is marketing. So we have seen destinations and sometimes tourism stakeholders do really good work in accessibility. But when it comes to marketing, they kind of fall short of it. And or sometimes it's only marketing and no really depth of work that some destinations have done. So why do you think that this happens, that is it based on a prejudice that it is not big enough a market? Or do they think disabled travelers do not have money to spend, or their needs are taken for granted, or something else? Why do you think there is a huge gap between, doing good work and not marketing, and not doing anything and marketing?
Yeah, so there's definitely a couple of points come to mind. I think, again, when you look at disability inclusion in general, it's always been a little bit behind other sort of conversations like race and gender. If you look at the legislative protection that in the UK, the Disability Discrimination Act came in 1995. I believe the Race Relations Act that protected people from minority race groups was like 1975. So when you look at evolution of the kind of diversity, equity, inclusion conversation, it was originally more of a legislative, political protection, and disability was a bit behind the curve. And then gradually it's become a business kind of brand marketing conversation as well. And I think part of the answer to your question is that just that simple lack of framing disabled people, we are customers and consumers to brands. And it doesn't mean to like dehumanize the disability side, but from the understanding that we're talking about business, and that's businesses are set up to have products and services and to make a profit and hopefully do lots of good in the world with that business. But if you don't have that view, that disabled people are customers, and maybe historically it's like a charity conversation or a government welfare conversation, which again, they have their place still in 2025. But firstly, I think brands are gradually understanding what the business case actually means. So that's still point number one. But then I think, and I don't want to sound a bit overly judgmental of brands that haven't done it or won't do it. I think everyone's on their own inclusion journey, and I don't believe any person, any brand is trying to do something in a nasty, negative way. But the two things, to answer again your question, it's sometimes ignorance, so it's lack of awareness, lack of education, and that's why there are a lot of disabled people like myself, whether we wanted to or not, we have to be a bit advocates, and we have to try and explain everything to the world until that ignorance, disappears. But there's also something a bit about arrogance, and the sort of typical thing is a bar might say, oh, well, we put a ramp in, and then no one in a wheelchair came and bought a drink or food at our pub or restaurant. And to this whole conversation, you say, well, did you ever market that you were now accessible, that you have a ramp? And very often they would say, no, we never mentioned it. And so I think when people have done the work, and it's hard work around making the product and service accessible, and I want to congratulate and reinforce the positivity of that, but no other company then expects the customers to just roll in their thousands, because you've done this great work behind the velvet curtain. You have to go out and tell the world. That's why marketing exists, and that's no different whether it's a disabled tourist or a non-disabled tourist. So yeah, I think there's a lot of different reasons, but I think this hopefully teases out that it's a legacy of the history of disability inclusion and the tropes around disability. It's a lack of awareness of the business case, and then it's like, oh, we'll pat ourselves on the back because we've done some work, but the rest will take care of itself. Like, you're either inclusive or you're not, and that includes the marketing.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think also, like you said, no one is coming with a bad intention, but the organizations who have done work in the past, what I feel that they have not marketed themselves well, so they're never, people never knew about that they have made those initiatives, and over time they realized, oh, perhaps it's not big enough a market, and then they because they never had the return of investment they made, because they did only half the work, not marketed themselves well, and then they assumed not big enough a market. I think that's also one of the reasons, the reason why we see this gap here. So tell me, I mean, how do destinations or organizations, give me some ideas, all of us here, that how they can market themselves better, like who are doing good work and in a cost-effective, innovative ways to reach out to the audience and, increase their business size. And also I would just piggyback another aspect to it. When we are marketing, we all see the wheelchairs users being, showcased as the picture. Like, so everything, whether consciously or unconsciously, kind of becomes about that accessibility means wheelchair accessibility, because that's we are being subconsciously reiterated again and again. So in these marketing, how they can portray the other disabilities or the more non-apparent disabilities which might not be visible into their marketing initiatives. So give us the marketing plan, Martyn.
Sure. So as you mentioned in your kind introduction at the beginning, the main thing I'm involved in is Purple Goat now. And so where Purple Goat sits as an agency is that point about any brand, whether it's tourism or other sectors and industries, that are missing out if they're not including and talking with and to disabled people. So the very simple steps, in my view, is that when you start doing the work, so we talk about, you know, helping to make, say, a destination more accessible, have a different representation from different parts of the disability community in that part. So again, it's not like to go off and make it accessible in the abstract. It's actually always, and our tagline is nothing about us without us. So it's doing the beginning research and understanding the market and what the proposition is, what the product service is, very much with disabled people. And that, as you intimated, doesn't just mean wheelchair users. That means, and you can segment various different ways through disability. And again, I think we're all mindful that sometimes we get a bit stuck throwing labels around left, right, and centre, but there are clearly sub-segments of the disability community that can easily be done so that we're covering the different access requirements that would exist. And so from that place of quantitative and qualitative insights from all aspects of the community, then figuring out what the product service proposition is and making sure it's inclusive. And so at Purple Goat, when we do that insight part, we work with content creators because they are very professional. They've got a wealth of different experience and knowledge, and they essentially, by being a social media influencer, inverted commas, they are, their work is around what their community needs and wants. It's not just an individual's view. They are, you know, standing for their community. So by engaging influencers and content creators in the insight part, you can build relationships. And so when you then come to the marketing part, you've got people that have become ambassadors because they've been part of the creation, part of the solution, and they're really excited to go out and tell the world how whatever the product or service or destination is and why it's so accessible. So in the end, it's about disabled people being involved throughout the whole part of the process. And then, of course, I'm not saying the only way to do marketing is social media or as content creators, but you can tell really niche stories to niche audiences at scale using these strategies around social media and content creators. So that's why Purple Goat leans into that more. We do consult on TV adverts and radio adverts and other parts of the marketing mix, which all are necessary, but you can be very targeted around this strategy. And the more tailored the message is for more specific audiences, the better conversion you get. And I think we shouldn't be scared of talking about return on investment and sales conversions. Like, that's a big part of a business.
Yeah, absolutely. There is nothing in accessible tourism. I mean, you always have to keep the business side of it at the center of it, because otherwise it's difficult for the to convince the tourism industry that that this is good business, and to do the marketing that is appropriate and targeted. And because I think storytelling in the right manner, in very innovative and creative ways, can really put the message across, irrespective of whether we are talking any type of disability. And it should just be like a natural thing, you know, just like people who happen to have disability, like integrated into any sort of marketing campaigns or initiatives. When we are
about the imagery. So again, a content creator can just be contracted to work with to make content on their own channel. But then often when we're doing the contracting with Purple Goat, you can contract the rights of the video or the imagery that they create on a particular holiday, for example, so that it can be used on the brand's own social media and their own other, you know, uses of imagery. So instead of having this kind of static standalone photo shoot that's a bit inauthentic and a bit awkward. You've got real disabled people going on real accessible holidays, and those experiences, that storytelling, can be reused and told in many, many other ways. So that's where brands can get a bit clever again about how they're engaging, working with disabled people to create more powerful photos that are more representative as well.
Yeah, absolutely. Like, taking very, very small scenarios in terms of how different people face different sorts of challenges when they travel, and how the solutioning for each of those can be created by destinations or service providers. I think we need to create a movement of all of these small use cases and user experiences to bring that to the forefront and make it mainstream. So I know we are like delayed in our schedule, but I'll just end with one last question, Martyn. Like when disabled people travel, and considering that not everything goes as smoothly, it really takes a toll on them physically and emotionally. And how do you think destinations can better respond to that? And how, perhaps we can use technology or AI, which is now helping shape tourism in a big way now. So can you give some ideas on that? How can destinations do better?
Yeah, sure. One thing I wanted to, I guess, kind of tailor into my answer here was just, we get very focused on the accessible vehicle, the accessible hotel, the equipment hire. I said that at the beginning of this chat because without that, I can't get to a place. I can't have the most basic human dignity parts of what I need. So that is in many ways the most important. But also the travels I've done enabled me to fly a plane over Stonehenge and scuba dive in Tenerife and swim with dolphins in Mexico. And I just think we want to also get back to, why does anyone travel? Well, it's to explore, have adventures, sort of challenge ourselves. So I think we need to still keep the general wanderlust part of travel as front and center for disabled or accessible tourism and disabled people as anyone else, and that kind of weaves partly into your question. But yeah, I don't know. I just think in the end, when we talk about sort of AI coming online more and more, and the anxieties and the exhaustion that can happen from the challenges of traveling, obviously the destinations can't necessarily prevent that or solve that. There's partly an empathy piece, and I think it's also just having good customer service and clear information. And so if I know that I've got full information to make my own decisions, and over time things go better and better and there's less problems, I will build up more trust and less anxiety. So it's not like a silver bullet, but I think it is, firstly, understanding it is quite a lot more with the barriers that still exist in the world. And I mean, for me, the word resilience comes up a lot. Like, I don't know, some people might have seen on my LinkedIn, I got stranded at Dallas airport for 24 hours and I wasn't able to use the toilet or get out of my wheelchair because the airport didn't have a hoist, and it was quite traumatic. So I think it's like being aware of the barriers, trying to overcome those barriers as quickly as possible. But where you can't influence something as specific as that, it's just still doing your best within your role and your influence to make the world more accessible.
Yeah, thank you so much, Martyn. I think we have now a clear idea on how you can make destinations more accessible, not just from an infrastructure perspective, but also from how you can welcome disabled people and cater to their, the challenges that they face and handle them in a more human-centric manner, and also build the community around accessible tourism and get on your inclusive travel journey as a destination and as a service provider. So thank you, Martyn, for this wonderful fireside chat. And now we'll move on to our next speaker, Nithi. Okay. So Nithi, Nithi Subhongsang. Did I pronounce it correctly? Sorry. I've known him for many years, and he is the OG in Thailand, so to say. Began his career in tourism in 1999, managing overnight teak rice barge cruises along remoter stretches of the Chao Phraya River. Here, his love for community-based tourism and the belief that tourism should benefit society as a whole was born. Much later, in 2014, his establishment of Nithi Adventures to promote responsible CBD, for those who don't know, it's community-based tourism, throughout Thailand. In 2018, Nithi's Adventures operated a tour of North and South Thailand for a group of blind clients from the UK. This was the first of its kind in Thailand, and since then Nithi has been at the forefront of promoting Thailand as a leading accessible tourism destination and introducing the concept of responsible community-based tourism for all. On to you, Nithi.
Sawadee krab. Actually, my surname is Subhongsang, but you very nearly. Thank you. Okay. Hello, everyone. My name is, again, as Neha said, easier to call me Nithi. All right. It's a true honor to be here today to talk about the vision that goes beyond travel. It's about inclusion, dignity, and the right for everyone to experience a beauty of Thailand. Welcome to Accessible Thailand Tourism for All. Okay. So destination and business development in accessible tourism requires seamless cooperation across all levels: upstream policy makers, midstream service provider, and downstream local community and businesses. Public and private stakeholders work hand in hand to ensure inclusive infrastructure, accessible services, and sustainable growth. This integrated approach empower everyone, every traveler to experience Thailand with dignity and else. So Thailand vision for inclusive travel. From niche to nature strategy, Thailand has moved from the isolated pilot project to a nationwide commitment. Accessible tourism is now embedded in infrastructure, training, and policy. The picture of this slide is one of our blind traveler reading the blind at the very remarkable place in Ayutthaya called Wat Chai Wattanaram. We don't just welcome tourists, we welcome everyone. So Thailand, social impact beyond tourism. Accessible design benefit for everyone. Elderly citizen, parents with stolen, people with temporary injured. Inclusive infrastructure, for example, like ramps or signage or restroom, improve daily life for local people and communities. Empathy training for tourism staff spread into all the service sectors: healthcare, education, public transport. Employment opportunities for persons with disability, strengthen local economy and reduce inequality. The photo showing on this slide, the first one at our restaurant in Ayutthaya, we make all ramp from your parking lot to the boat. Everyone can enjoy the food and can enjoy the scenery of the riverside. And also, we have a project this year we call WOW, or Wheel on the Water. We will invite people on the wheelchair cruising on the very historical rivers of Ayutthaya. And the second photos is about our training course for a licensed tour guide, because we understand that we cannot do promoting only. We know we have to be prepared for every stakeholders on the service side. Nithi Adventures, from the passion to policy, from the responsible tourism to accessible tourism. Our journeys began with responsible community-based tourism. But we soon realized responsibility isn't enough if someone is still left behind. So we involved toward designing travel experience that everyone can truly access. The photo on this slide is one of our blind traveler holding the pink lotus on the right hand and the cane on her left. And the caption is, we didn't just ask who travel, but we asked who's still waiting. Social impact beyond, oh sorry, I'm bad in technology, sorry. So, who we are and what we stand for. Nithi Adventures is the creator for Journey and Leave No One Behind. Our mission is to make travel right, not just a luxury. Our straight line to bending policy, businesses and community. The photo on this slide is our team in front of our office. Empathy is not just empathy is our infrastructure. See, role for the change maker. We lead to design the inclusive travel routes for visually impaired travelers and wheelchair users. We advocate policy change through the collaboration with the Thailand Science Research and Innovation. Next, I will call TSRI, and many universities and private sectors. We create the real space for the training and employment that empower people with disabilities. We promote Accessible Thailand as a holiday destination in cooperation with Tourism Authority of Thailand. Next, I will call TAT, for both domestic and inbound. So look at our timeline. Our company start long time, over 20 years, but we focus on accessible tourism, I can say it's by luck. In 2016, we kick off the tour for the blind. The first potential to work with our partner, Seeable Holiday from UK, to provide a tour in Thailand for blind travelers. The same we have a project starting with TSRI for the research project. 2 years later, in 2018, the first blind groups, 11 of them arrived to Thailand, spent 12 days traveling from the north to the south. And the same years, we established the experience sharing workshop with 20 licensed guides. In next year, 2019, we kick off the tour for the wheelchair user. Start developing tours with the, we call in Thai Mahathai, the Redentalist Foundation for People with Disability. This is preparing for the tour program for IWAS World Game in the year of 2020. Unfortunately, 2020, COVID pandemic, all the tourism was frozen for over 2 years, but we and many stakeholders and partners, we still keep moving on research and develop. In 2022, after the pandemic, we have the kick off the research project, a very start research project with TSRI, including the academics and tour operators, and start promoting and operating the tour for wheelchair traveler from Holland. Thank you, Gerda. And in 2023, we achieved that year, the tour program I provide for a wheelchair traveler won the Gold Award at the 14th Thailand Tourism Awards. And also we have two accessible tourism research projects still continuing. This shows TSRI and the government agency in Thailand know how important of the accessible tourism. They not leave me alone. They help us, they support us. And this year, the number is wrong. Don't take this photo, okay? 2025, not 22, the last one. We are here. Yes, we won the Gold Award again on the World Tourism Day last week on the 27th of September. It's the second time for a program for people with disability. Now we won the award of the Thailand North to South for Blind Traveler. But last but not least, this is the third Gold Award together, make us to be Hall of Fame Award. Thank you, and we are here. So, thank you. Not yet. I know you're hungry. Not yet. Okay, look at the ecosystem for our mapping. The photo on this slide, me and our team running the training program for the licensed tour guide. We put one of our trainees on the floating beach wheelchair and show how it works and how it's involved into the tourism to make tourism more fun. So we divided to be 3 sessions. Upstream, the policy research we do with TSRI, Academic University. The photo underneath is the leading team of the TSRI research and funding agency. The midstream, training, SME support, tech integration, data information, action research, promoting network. We do a lot with Tourism Authority of Thailand, Department of Tourism, Association of Thai Travel Agency, and ENAT. The photo underneath of this is the training course to train the equipment with our service frontliner to learn how to welcome the guests. And the downstream, the traveler experience, influencer engagement, economic impact, voice of the visitors' feedback. The photo underneath, one of our blind traveler experienced the costume of the Southern performance called Nora dancing. So our guide leading to explain how the costume mean. So our framework, first, we listen carefully to a real experience of disabled traveler and a caregiver. So more details about the framework, I will go quickly because of limited of time. Later, if you need more detail about every level of the framework, you can come and talk to me and our team. We are here until tomorrow. So the impact and increase of the number of visitors and satisfaction and feedback. The photo on this slide, we have 5 photos. The first one, again, they're showing how the floating beach wheelchair work at our training course. The second photo, me showing the 3D printing of the Ayutthaya architecture for the blind travelers. The third one, and we show the representative from the European, TAT European regions farm trip with our vehicle with the lift, me on the wheelchair. And the fourth one, the portable hoist to show they move me from the wheelchair into the vehicle. And the last one is the portable ramp, is we can use it for many circumstances in need. And talk about, this is just for example, and how important of the award is make awareness and understanding for the spread wide of the social. This year we send the Thailand North to South for the blind traveler. We start from Bangkok to Ayutthaya, and we take them to the north in Chiang Mai to enjoy the scenery and nature and elephant in Chiang Mai, and spend another 2 nights with the community at Ban Dok Bua in Phayao province. Before we know that we have to provide some beach holiday for them, we go down to the south. The pictures, the 3 pictures showing on this slide, me showing and leading, explain about the one of the iconic temple, Wat Chai Watanaram, with the 3D model for the blind group. And the second photo is about the one of the blind traveler enjoy and experience Thai snack making with the local people in Phuket. And the last one, they enjoy the beach during the sunset. And this one is Bangkok and beyond for the wheelchair traveler. This is just, again, just for example, we can do so many more from our research resources. We have 3 photos on this wheelchair, on this slide. The first one is the home of the very world famous bridge over the River Kwai in Kanchanaburi. In the photo have 2 wheelchair travelers and me and our staff looking and explain about the history. The second photo, me and the wheelchair traveler inside the historical park in Ayutthaya. The last one, we provide the program, the photo showing they enjoy the night market with the street food. This is a real experience with the local people. And a couple months ago, I think many of you know Kolili. They traveled to Thailand. They asked us, that time we never know him. They asked like inquiry as the normal inquiry. Kolili will travel with us for a couple of weeks. We have 3 photos on this slide. The first one is one of the very unique experience at the Talat Noi in Bangkok, showing him and his colleague and his mother. And the second one I'm proudly to present. He asked about Sakyan. I know everyone here may not understand Sakyan. It's a traditional tattoo. You know, it's for protecting for the warrior. He asking for, that means he researched us. He have to know what the value, why he travel with us. He asked for this activity and we provide Sakyan at the temple from the monk. And the last photo, he enjoyed a scenery of the mountain at the 300 Yod National Park and the scenery of the accessible in Pranburi, Prachuap Khiri Khan province. To show, this is a little bit data this from our company is after the pandemic of COVID. In 2023, approximately we earned $33,800 and compared to a year after 2024, we earned $88,100. Look at the growth. Is 160.7% growth. And this year, we will earn around $117,000, which is growth. It's a very small number of money, but it's showing they are there. And we are just one company in Thailand. If we can make together for Thailand, how big of the market? Look at the growth. Don't look at the total number. So from 2018 to 2025, empowerment and certification program. We train over 110 local guides with the service frontliner in accessible tourism. Conduct route products tasting and accessibility workshop with 20 Thai tour operators, organized 3 farm trips for international operators and TAT marketing representative. Our team certified as the accessible tourism champion via Train the Trainer program by Access and Inclusion UK and co-develop quality and accessibility standard with DOT. I know time's running. This is just to show how many organizations we've been working during at last 8 years. So, summary of Be Able Thailand, where everyone begin with fairness and every destination welcome all. B, build without barrier. B, educate and empower. A, able universal design. B, balanced mobility and sustainability. L, love and protect what precious. E, elevate economic inclusion. Future, the logo before you see the slide before is not just there. We need to have you and we invite you to join us. Just let's make it real. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Nithi, for such a nice presentation. So after we saw Martyn talking about marketing destinations, this is a good example what Nithi presented is how destinations development can happen and the growth of accessible tourism can happen. I have a question, Nithi.
Sure.
That is, like, you have been working so much in Thailand. What are the challenges that you face to convince suppliers and stakeholders and, that accessible tourism is something that they should be doing along with you?
For my idea, my experience, I think not only just Thailand. Awareness and understanding in marketing is really big question mark, really is. I cannot own the hotel, I cannot own the transportation by myself, but how can I convince them?
Yeah.
How can I say this is not what I said them? And I think this is, I thank you to the many government agency. They think this is not benefit only economy, but we benefit to social. Thailand have lots of senior citizens. Thailand has so many people with disability. Why not we keep them at home? Why we not allow them to travel with Nithi?
And others, like, what do you think? Do you need more players doing accessible tourism in Thailand? Or do you think, the requirement that is there as a destination, you can fulfill all of that?
I feel the same. I think working in corporation cannot be only domestic, but it's, for example, why I'm speak here only 20 minutes, why we have 4 people come along. We have a press to raise awareness in the country, to let them understand and be ready to welcome everyone to our lovely country. Second, we have the academic professor come along to learn from you, to get something back to Thailand and develop and make it more practical.
So are the other local tour operators in Thailand adopting it?
More and more, but still, again, if we look at Thailand so far, the most important thing is transportation and hotel. That is simple. We have more tour company. We understand more. We have more and more tour operators, but the hotel still have limited of room. How can you do that?
Yeah, I was there doing a workshop on inclusive tourism
Sure.
for Asian stakeholders in Thailand a few months ago, and I realized, like, the public infrastructure has been improving a lot in accessibility, but the hotels remain a really big challenge. and also the public spaces and the attractions
Yes.
to visit.
Yes, that is another thing. Don't go to Thailand without any advice. Otherwise, you will complain my country. Okay? Please
Okay.
ask us and let us plan. You can go by yourself, but we can help. If you go by yourself, you complain our country. I stuck at the airport. I'm blind. I take the flight for 12 hours from UK, and you prepare the wheelchair in front of the door, walking to the immigration. Why?
I think this is important. Like, there's a lot of differentiation when it comes to, developed countries, and when you go to emerging countries, especially in Asia.
Yes.
Like, you need to set your expectations right. It is not that these countries or destinations are not accessible. It's just that it needs much more preparation. Like, I started my company in India, and which perhaps everyone would be scared. It's not accessible, never go there. And there are so many people. But again, with right knowledge and preparation, it is possible to travel with any sort of disability. You just need to have the right planning and information. So it's not that, like you can just go to, say, for Vienna. It's a very different expectation you need to set while you're traveling to a developed country. And while you're traveling to an emerging country, expectations have to be different, because accessibility would be there, but it would showcase in very different way. So that is also something we need to explore and learn from each other type of demographics. Like, there are things that developed countries can learn from emerging countries, and there are a lot of things that the emerging countries can adopt from developed countries. But again, it needs to be adapted. It just cannot be replicated and just, you pick it and implement it there. That's not possible. So accessibility is different in different...
I have to remind you, we have 2 more, huh?
Yeah, sorry. Good. Thank you for timekeeping. Okay, so our next speaker again is Martyn Heng. Martyn, where are you on the screen? Where do I see you?
I don't know. I should be there.
Yeah, so with a colorful earth background and a colorful shirt, welcome Martyn to the session. Martyn also could not, unfortunately, be with us in person due to some visa issues. But then again, Martyn, welcome, and I'm glad you can join us virtually. So to introduce Martyn, Martyn is originally from Birmingham in the UK, and his life and career has taken him around the world, from studying English literature at Cambridge to spending more than 20 years with Lonely Planet after settling in Australia. Following a life-changing accident in 2010, he became a leading voice in accessible and inclusive travel. As Lonely Planet's accessible travel manager, he created resources recognized by the UNWTO and co-produced guides for the 2016 Rio Paralympics. Martyn went on to author Tourism Access and Inclusion, Best Practice Guidelines for Tourism MSMEs for APEC, and the Accessible and Inclusive Host Handbook for the Australian Tourism Export Council, both supported by national training programs. He continues to share his expertise globally with organizations like UNWTO and GSTC. Today, as head of content at Vacate, he's helping make travel experiences more inclusive through audio storytelling. So off to you, Martyn. And just like Nithi reminded me, please be mindful of time.
Thank you very much for the introduction, Neha. And there was a little bit of confusion. I mean, first of all, I'm very, very disappointed not to be able to be with everybody in person and to be reconnecting with all my friends and colleagues from around the world. I was at the 2 previous iterations of the of Destinations for All, and I was very much looking forward to this one, but unfortunately it wasn't to be. I'm actually in Dubai at the moment at the Attic in at the Attic Accessible Tourism Conference. I'm speaking here in a couple of days. And there was a bit of confusion around what I was going to be doing because I wasn't going to make it. So I've actually put a presentation together today. And it's a presentation about projects I've been working on with colleagues from Colourful Earth. You can see the background there, and obviously Colourful Earth is a company based in China, and it's a project I'm very proud of. It's called it's working with a company called Ascot. So I'm going to hopefully share my screen, if I can. So can people see that? Yeah. Yes?
Yeah,
You
we
do?
can see you. We can see the
Great.
presentation.
Great. So as I said, we're working with a company called Ascot to develop Ascot's Disability Inclusion Playbook. So this playbook is not just a document, it's a commitment by Ascot to embed inclusion throughout its organization. It represents a recognition that pursuing inclusion is not just the right thing to do, but also the smart thing to do. So for those of you not familiar with Ascot, it's a Singapore-based company with over 1,000 properties under its umbrella, operating in more than 230 cities in over 40 countries. Some of its 14 brands you might recognize are Quest Apartments in Australia, Citadine, Life, Oakwood, Somerset, Fox, Harris, and Pop, just to name a few. Sadly, I'm not...
Martyn, sorry to interrupt you. Have you like forgotten to change the slide?
Nope.
Oh, okay. So
It's all right.
because you were talking some data, so I thought it's on another slide.
No, I'm just introducing the whole project.
Oh, okay.
So,
My apologies.
that's okay. So as I say, I'm not there to gather feedback in person, sadly, but we at Colourful Earth and at Ascot think this endeavour is unique. So while most hospitality providers who are pursuing accessibility focus almost exclusively on the guest experience, this playbook provides a roadmap for embedding disability inclusion into everything the organisation does, from how they train their people to how they design spaces, recruit teams, build digital platforms, and run community programs. In other words, it's a holistic approach. And what makes this playbook powerful is partly in the way it was created. It's grounded in best practice from across the world. We have insights from our partners and external experts, and importantly, the lived experiences of persons with disability, including, of course, myself. The process of creating was also consultative and collaborative, ensuring buy-in from the entire organization. So it's a product of co-creation, not just consultation. So one of the first things we did, for example, was to introduce the project to the entire organization on a huge Zoom call that included many hundreds of staff globally. So let's start by having a look at how the playbook was created. So before Colourful Earth was commissioned to develop the playbook, under their Ascot Cares ESG program, the organization signed an agreement with Singapore's leading disabled people's organization, SG Enable, to help hospitality businesses in the country become more inclusive of people with disability. Over 2 days in June and August, 64 participants from 12 Singapore hotels were hosted for a full day of interactive, hands-on training sessions to learn about different disabilities, how to deliver inclusive services with empathy, and how to engage and communicate effectively with guests with disabilities. Training wasn't just limited to guest services, but also included representatives from other departments, such as housekeeping, reservations, food and beverage, management, facilities, finances, and HR. Excuse me. Oh, have I lost the presentation?
Yep.
So Colourful Earth, we started by examining all internal documents and policies to identify gaps as compared with best practice around the world. And following this, we conducted more than 30 interviews with staff globally, from general management at HQ level down to individual property level managers. The outcome was a 90-page report that clearly set out where the gaps were. Progress in one, the framework is built around 5 interdependent and mutually reinforcing pillars. Progress in one pillar strengthens the others. These links create a consistent, accessible experience for employees and guests, and drive continuous improvement across the whole system. The playbook is meant to be both a strategic and practical, offering guidance and suggestions, but not mandating anything beyond Ascot's stated goals under each pillar. This is important because, as with many hotel chains, Ascot doesn't own the properties under its banner. So the case for inclusion needs to convince each property owner, as well as each department at HQ and at regional cluster level. So these are the 5 pillars, and apologies for the text-heavy slide, but this is the core of the playbook, explaining how each pillar is mutually supportive. I don't think I want to read this. I will leave you to read this because you will be probably getting this slide pack later, and I'll be talking about each of these pillars in turn in the following slides. So up front, we talk about the importance of governance. That is, that a corporate disability inclusion committee, including people with disability, leads the agenda, and that management models inclusive behavior. Recognizing too that different regions are at different stages of the journey and are operating under different jurisdictional requirements, we urge individual properties and regional clusters to adapt the materials to suit local requirements. That's both legal and cultural, including translations as required. But we've also made a real effort to use plain language and a logical structure to cater to people who are neurodiverse or have low English literacy. And of course, we've tried to ensure that it meets all accessibility requirements by choosing appropriate fonts and layouts and having the entire document remediated properly for use with assistive technologies. To promote uptake of the recommendations, and because we understand that different regions have different levels of awareness, we cover 3 of the main arguments for why businesses should become more inclusive: social justice, business opportunity, and corporate development. Do businesses want to tap into the $13 trillion global spending power of people with disability? And we include examples of return on investment from inclusive hotels in Australia, India, and the UK, and briefly explain why inclusive businesses, not just in hospitality, but generally, perform better according to many metrics and attract and retain a motivated and high-quality workforce. And here we go into the different pillars. Inclusive training comes first because it supports every other pillar. It builds awareness, skills, and confidence, so teams can engage respectfully with guests and colleagues. This strengthens a culture of respect and inclusion and helps the hospitality business serve diverse needs well. Doing so helps the organization reach an underserved market. It increases guest loyalty and increases revenue. It builds stakeholder trust and strengthens brand values. So inclusive training is not only disability awareness training for frontline staff. It supports leaders and back-of-house teams and recognizes different learning needs, including those of people with disability. We emphasize that training should be accessible, inclusive, and culturally appropriate. This gives everyone a fair chance to learn, to contribute, and to grow. So the focus is also very much on fostering inclusion and training amongst staff, not just amongst the guests, not just the guest facing. Inclusive spaces. That refers to a holistic approach to the design, operation, and maintenance of physical environments. We emphasize that inclusive spaces enable everyone, especially people with disability, the elderly, pregnant women, the temporarily incapacitated, and families with strollers, to access, navigate, and use facilities and services independently, safely, and comfortably, without being hindered by physical, informational, or cultural barriers. It applies to guest areas and staff areas alike. True inclusion means spaces are accessible, sensory friendly, respectful of autonomy, adaptable, and safe for all. We emphasize that creating inclusive spaces is an ongoing journey that goes beyond compliance with local regulations. Full accessibility may not be possible. In fact, it isn't possible. With the best will in the world and unlimited resources, you are not going to be fully accessible for all people because people's needs are so diverse. What is possible is a commitment to continuous improvement, refining accessible facilities to enhance the experiences of both guests and staff. Accessibility inevitably varies according to region and individual property, and we make it clear that the measures that each property takes will require balancing operational, financial, and practical considerations. Inclusive hiring means taking steps so all job seekers, and particularly people with disabilities, have equal, fair access to jobs. It uses standardized, transparent processes and a commitment to DEI. Inclusive hiring is about more than job posts and interviews. Success needs a whole system that is friendly and accessible and includes policies and governance, digital interfaces, workspaces, and training. Inclusive hiring helps attract and keep talent. It serves customers better, and it strengthens organizational culture. It grows brand value, loyalty, innovation, and productivity by opening up new talent pools. Hiring people with disabilities brings unique skills and perspectives, which strengthen the organization and builds a culture of empathy. Inclusive digital interfaces go beyond basic accessibility features on websites or applications. They involve a comprehensive consideration of the diverse needs of users, especially people with disability. We make the point that it is vital to design, develop, and continuously evaluate digital products and services to make sure they are friendly for all. For guests, this means websites that are WCAG compliant, contain clear accessibility information, and allow for easier booking of accessible rooms. For staff, it means higher productivity and better job satisfaction. And for the business, it showcases the organization's values, reduces legal risk, strengthens the brand, and saves cost over time by reducing rework and complaints. And as we all know, inclusive digital design also drives innovation that benefits all users. And finally, inclusive programs refer to all CSR initiatives aimed at empowering persons with disabilities, fostering community inclusion, and promoting social inclusivity. These programs, which should be designed and carried out in collaboration with local communities, NGOs, people with disabilities, and relevant stakeholders, should meet real needs and remove barriers. When planned and delivered well, these programs improve accessibility not only within properties, but also in the neighborhoods around them. They ensure that lived experience informs the design, upkeep, and integrity of all the other pillars. So that is the end of the presentation. Neha, did you have any questions? Or
Yes.
does
Yeah.
anybody in the group have any questions?
Thank you so much, Martyn, for sharing the case study about Ascot. I wanted to understand if are there any impact metrics they have identified which they are monitoring to see how effective and what is the impact, both in terms of tangible and intangible impact, that this initiative has given them? Like, are there any metrics that are being monitored?
Absolutely. Under each pillar, they have internal goals, short-term and long-term goals. Now, I'm not at liberty to share those goals with you because they're internal, but yes, they are absolutely measuring. Under each pillar, they have set goals and they have a set timeline to reach those goals.
So are they like it's quantifiable goals or?
Absolutely quantifiable, yes.
Okay.
And as I say, I'm not at liberty to share those because that's proprietary information. But under each pillar, they have devised goals that are quantifiable, measurable, and time limited.
Okay. Thank you. So thank you so much, Martyn. Now we will move on to our next speakers and session, who have been very patient all this while. So let me take this opportunity to introduce our next set of speakers. And while we have been talking about destinations and case study of hotels and marketing those destinations, now we are going to talk about how the role that user involvement plays, like importance of the user's involvement in doing accessible tourism research. So I have with me Karin and Cato from Norway, and to introduce Karin Antonsen, she holds a position as a senior researcher at Nordland Research Institute located in northern Norway. She's a project manager for the research project Access Tour, Accessible Tourism for Inclusion and Value Creation, financed by the Norwegian Research Council. Antonsen has a PhD in social geography with sustainable tourism as one of her interest fields. She lives in the Lofoten Islands, one of the most popular tourism destinations in Norway, where she loves to hike and go skiing in the beautiful mountains. And coming to Katolai, you have mentioned your age precisely. Shall I tell everyone your age, or? So, yeah, he lives in Drammen, Norway, born with a spina bifida, and he's a wheelchair user. He has an MBA from Oslo Business School. Cato's work as a senior advisor for the Norwegian Federation of Organizations of Disabled People, with responsibility for FFO's policy in the field of universal design, accessibility in all areas of the society. He was president of the International Federation of Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus and board member of the European Disability Forum until June 2024, and first vice president of the International Disability Alliance until June 2025. He's currently president of the Norwegian Association for Spina Bifida and Hydrocephalus. On to you, Karin and Cato.
Okay, thank you for your introduction and for letting us having this presentation. I will just check the... Yes. Okay, we will talk about our research and development project, a little bit about the aim and the partners. We will say a bit about the barriers to accessible tourism in Norway, stakeholder and user involvement in collaborative research and development of accessible tourism, which you have already heard a bit about, but it can't be said too many times. And Cato will tell about FFO and their contribution to our project. And we will say a bit about the benefit of user involvement and co-creation. And at the picture you see Cato in one of our many travels in the different regions of Norway. Okay. So our project, the aim is to increase knowledge about how accessible tourism destinations and local communities can create value for both the tourism industry and for visitors and locals with disability. And the study takes place within the rural destinations in Norway, because we had an assumption that the rural areas are less accessible than the cities. We have 26 partners in the project, representing different research disciplines, rehabilitation and the tourism sector, the public sector, and non-governmental organizations, including ENAT and FFO. And quite some of the project partners are here during this conference. This picture shows a beautiful universal designed path in a county named Telemark in Norway. And one of the users that has been involved in the project, she's posing there from her wheelchair. And she actually made a website called wheelchairtraveling.no in Norway, where she is sharing her experiences with traveling, best practice examples.
So, first I want to thank you for your patience. You're still in the room, that's great. But we all need lunch soon, right? So, my name is Katuli. I work as a universal design accessibility expert in Norway. And as you can see, I'm a wheelchair user. So, despite legal protection against all discrimination since 2013 in Norway, including the obligation to universal design, many persons with disabilities still face numerous of barriers when traveling in Norway. In a survey conducted in our project with answers from 230 people with different disabilities, we found that access to accurate information, to the physical environment, to transport, and access to nature and nature-based products are important barriers to overcome. Though collaboration with the tourism industry, we find that lack of knowledge and attitudes and prejudices still represent key barriers. The picture is from a testing of a path together with mentors from Stiftelsen, here also present. And here, nature herself had made some barriers with a lot of rain washing the path away.
Yeah, I will say a little more about the lack of knowledge and attitudes in the tourism sector. Research has shown that the tourism industry, to a small degree, consider the market of people with disabilities as significant, as we have heard from the earlier speakers. To a small degree, understand the needs and desire of this highly diversified group, and in general, does not go beyond these legal requirements to ensure equality for all. We also find that some tourism providers, especially in the adventure tourism, overemphasize security when considering taking people with disability out in the nature. They are actually afraid of doing something wrong, getting sued. So, despite the regulatory framework and laws for public providers and the recognition of stakeholder involvement as important for development of accessible tourism, persons with disabilities are often an overlooked group, both in the development of and research on tourism. And this picture shows how risk-seeking persons with disability can explore water sport, here on a big surfboard being dragged by a boat in the northern Norway. I am actually at that board. Very, very funny. Okay, we heard about stakeholder collaboration here. So I will just say what is a stakeholder? A stakeholder can be defined as all individuals or groups who can influence or are influenced by a measure or an action. So in the development of accessible tourism, the most important stakeholder are people with disabilities or organizations working for their rights. And also tourism operators, authorities, landowners, and other interest groups are important stakeholders at the table. And collaboration, it could be defined as a process through which parties to see different aspects of a problem can constructively explore their differences and search for solutions that goes beyond their limit vision when stakeholders from just the tourism sector meet. So when different stakeholders with different perspectives meet to collaborate to solve a problem, they can uncover more challenges and identify more solutions. And when we talk about user involvement, it's different levels of user involvement. In Norway, user involvement is regulated by law for authorities at both local, regional, and national level. For instance, the municipalities and county administrations are obligated to establish a council with people with disabilities with the right to comment on matters concerning persons with disabilities, as well as to raise their own issue. And according to Butler, there are 5 levels of user involvement in the development of tourism. At the lowest level, which is top-down, the users only receive information. And at the second step, it's bottom-up involvement, where users can raise their voice and try to influence a decision. At the third step, user involvement is about advising the industry or authorities. But to ensure authentic involvement, the users should have a position at the table, be represented in all phases, including the decision-making processes. So representation is the 4th level, and equality is the 5th. And the same ideal should be applied to research on accessible tourism. So in our project, we have had user involvement in all phases. We had an initiating workshop, and we had 3 project gatherings and 4 project workshops where we have invited different users from the municipality and county administrations. And also we have users together with us with implementing and testing innovations. And in the early phase of the project, Kato was invited to be a partner in the project representing FFO. And now I will give the table to or floor to you.
Thank you. Well, FFO, it's a very long name, so I won't repeat that. It's an umbrella organization with 90 member organizations of persons with disabilities and chronic diseases, and we represent close to 400,000 individuals, about 8% of the Norwegian population. Our main goal is to work politically for better living conditions for persons with disabilities and chronic diseases. And my role is to influence Parliament and government politically to improve accessibility and universal design in Norway. And now I will explain the difference. Accessibility is making adaptations for people with special needs, so usually due to disabilities. Universal design is the design of products, environments, programs and services in such a way that they can be used by all people to the greatest extent possible without the need for adaptation and special design. An accessibility solution can, for example, involve inserting a ramp or stair lift where there are stairs, for example, into a station building or in the means of transport itself. If everyone can enter a station and a train in an equal way, we are talking about universal design. Politically, universal design is the aim in several Norwegian laws. The difference lies in the degree of equality. and independence, and often only increased accessibility is attainable. One picture shows an example of adaptation with a ramp from the platform into the train. I'm on this picture. I was a little bit browner hair then, so it's many years ago. The other picture shows an example from a universal design and barrier-free entrance from the platform into the train. And we actually tried out the metro in Torino, which was excellent. So, FFO's involvement in Access Tour. Well, as mentioned before, I worked as a co-researcher, partially released from regular duties to participate in all phases, and my participation was funded by the project. My role is to give advice in physical and digital meetings, workshops, survey design, fieldwork and destination visits, and development and testing of a mapping tool. My active participation in all phases of the research ensures that user perspective and legal rights are central throughout the research, and that needs of persons with various disabilities are adequately addressed. This involvement is essential for addressing diverse needs and contribute to more inclusive and accessible tourism. The picture shows me and my daughter enjoying the 360 degrees spectacular view from a mountain in the northern Norway.
Yes, and the benefits of having you with us in the project, you have also been informing and advising us as researchers. You have ensured the user perspective, both together with the business, but also what kind of questions should we ask in the research. Yeah, and I think the advice from the tourism providers to secure more inclusive solutions is important. And on the picture we see how user participants advising providers of different accommodation. One is testing a ramp, homemade ramp into a cabin, while the other point at this inaccessibility caused by the towel being hung too high on the wall. And we see this so many times on accessible rooms. They miss because they place things too high.
Despite the barriers for accessible tourism identified in the project, we have seen some positive trends. We see more willingness to improve the accessibility in the tourism sector today than 5 to 10 years ago. Hopefully our project and the systematic work with sustainable tourism has contributed to highlighting the importance of accessible tourism. Another bright side is that new hotels and public buildings, museums and so on, in general are quite accessible and regulated by law, as mentioned before, and that some transport experiences are more accessible. The picture to the left shows me entering the bus with an integrated lift. The other picture shows a nice path making the beach accessible for wheelchair users. And to start summing up, how can organizations for persons with disabilities best be involved in research for and the development of a more inclusive and accessible tourism? Contact umbrella organizations or organizations representing persons with disabilities. Involve both national and regional and local representatives of disability organizations. Clarify roles. Ensure involvement in all phases, including development of research questions. And keep in mind that true participation means being on equal terms and having a say in decision making. The picture shows a user participant representing a county council when testing our mapping tool. The tactile guidance on the pavement led her straight into a wall. So that was not great. And that's all, folks.
Yeah, now it's lunchtime for you. Thank you so much for being here and listening and not go having food. And we have a lot of sources, research sources that we have used. So if you would like our sources, just send me an email.
Or just talk to us during the conference.
Of course. Thank you.
Are we going for lunch or?
Can I ask you a question? We have 3 minutes.
Ask the audience.
We kind of started half an hour late and we finished just in time, 90 minutes. So I'll just have one question, which is, can you share a little bit more about the findings of this research?
I will do that.
Okay. Okay, we have a
So
session.
we will spare it for tomorrow. It's a cliffhanger. You have to come to Ingeborg's presentation tomorrow to see more findings.
Problem solved.
Perfect. Okay. So you meet her tomorrow. Okay. So we'll close the session. We covered a lot of ground today in terms of destination development and how they can be made accessible, and how we can market these destinations as well by, also user involvement in the development of these destinations. Because I think at the broader level, we have to realize that when we are developing these destinations, we are not developing these destinations only for disabled travelers. If we are building accessibility by design, we are actually creating a better experience for everyone, even for non-disabled travelers. So we see a lot of examples around us in our everyday lives, the solutions which were originally designed for disabled people, but then we all tend to use it in our daily lives so much, now we don't even realize that they were accessibility solutions, like your keyboard that you use, It was actually invented as the typewriter, the precursor, and it was invented for the blind. The Alexa technology, your jar openers, your automatic doors, electric toothbrush, these are all accessibility solutions. And we all use it today. So that that same inclusive design you have to bring in while you are working with destinations, developing destinations for tourism. Make sure that they are inclusive of all, so that everyone's user experience and visitor experience is wonderful, and not just for disabled people. So with that, I will close this session, and I will try to pitch my own session at 4:30 today in room 500 on how to make an accessible tourism business into an inclusive movement. So yes, if you would be there, I would love that. Thank you so much for your time today.